Well, hey guys, greetings and a most heartfelt of salutations to all of you. Welcome back to the channel. This is Open Mic. I am one of your hosts today. My name is John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here. I'm joined, of course, by Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett sitting right over there. And in Open Mic, it is much more casual, laid back, relaxed. I won't mention what's in my cup. I'm just kidding. It's just diet soda. That's all it is. I don't drink, so it's
sober October, John.
It's sober October, but that won't stop me from having a shot of aviation gin sitting over here. Where it's just more casual than the John Campea Show, because really all we do is take your live comments and questions. If you're watching the video, like to have a comment or question read off on the show, just send it on and use the super chats. It'll be open for a couple more minutes, and then we will shut that down. But before we get to that, Rob, we had a conversation this morning on the John Campea Show that I wanted to pick up again, because I've been thinking about it a lot. It's that whole James thing. Somebody wrote in a question on the John Campea Show earlier today asking about, what does James Gunn do now with the Ezra Miller situation?
Right.
And we did talk about it quite at length, but I've been thinking about it some more, because it is one of those things of, it's a be careful what you wish for kind of scenario, right? It's like, okay, you want the top job, you want that responsibility, cool, but there comes along more to that job than just, I get to pick what movies we're going to make. It comes along with a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I had this conversation with Ann before, because like when I started out, it was me and the movie blog. That was it. It was me and my blog. Then I added one or two people, whatever. And then even when I was at AMC, it was me. We started off with at AMC with me, and they hired two people to assist me, right? And that was it. By the time I left Collider, I think it would, between full-time and part-time, I don't know, Jonathan, what would you say, like 25 people between the full and part-times?
Yeah.
Altogether?
At its height?
Yeah, at its height, 25, 26, 27 people, right? And I remember I was talking to Ann, and Dennis and I would talk about this once in a while, because I remember Dennis and I once famously said to each other, it's like, remember when we used to talk about movies and that was our job? Because it became about, a lot of the job by the time I left was dealing with a lot of crap, whether it was crap from studios or crap from this or that. I often, all the time, actually, you guys wouldn't believe some of the stories, but I had to deal with crap of like 2 or more people on the crew hated each other and having to deal with that kind of crap.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, but there were many situations like that, right?
Yeah.
And just constantly it was like, when you're sitting in the chair, a lot of the times the chair means your job is running around with a bucket trying to put out fires. And because you guys have heard me say the thing that Dennis and I once said to shows, like, you remember when we used to talk about movies? It was in that context. Because Dennis and I would we were in a stretch of like a week long, we were having to have meetings every day about fires and trying to put out fires and deal with that stuff. And it wasn't back to just the fun of talking about. And so I thought about James Gunn today, and the fact that is times 1,000 with the crap I used to have to deal with, right? At times 1,000, including this very big, high profile, in the public eye situation with Ezra Miller. And it's just a reminder that there's another side of the coin. I'm sure even with you, like when you're directing a movie or you get to direct a television series, people think, oh, it's just this creative bliss. You just get to be on there. But there are probably a million little fires you get around. These are the parts of the jobs that people don't often see.
No, and you have to be careful. Like even me, I've run afoul. Like when I first started at Collider, being on it wasn't my day job. John Schnepp had me come in. I would come in, do the show, and then it got to the point where we were doing it every day. At one point, and I remember I got into a little beef with somebody online that we also worked together with. Well, I didn't really know them, and they didn't really know me, and so we got into a bit of a snit. Now, it could have been something as if we just called each other, but I didn't know this person. I didn't know their phone number. And they kind of jumped into this conversation, and I said one thing, didn't know about their past, and suddenly it became an issue. There was beef now. And I was like, because I'm a nice person, I just didn't know.
Are you?
I think I'm a nice person.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I think I'm a nice person. But because I like people.
You get the Canadians' nice person seal of approval.
Yes, the Canadian will give you that stamp.
I mean, I genuinely, even people that don't like me, I mean, I know people that actively don't like me, but I don't dislike them. But so this was a thing, you know, and then suddenly you realize like, oh, and you had to talk to me about this particular thing. And I wasn't even aware that it was a thing. I just was like, I moved on I was like, you know, walked in and it becomes a thing. And sometimes you don't even know. And that becomes a problem that you've caused for somebody else to fix. And when that happens, it happens frequently when you work on projects. Like you said, you're making a movie, you're producing a movie, and suddenly the key grip is pissed off at a gaffer. And you don't know why. And you need them happy to get the job done. And then suddenly you have to step in and mediate a situation that has existed, that is affecting other people that you had nothing to do with, but you have to fix it anyway.
Now, imagine that scenario, only the grip and what was the other person in your scenario?
The key grip and the gaffer.
The key grip and the gaffer, right? Now, imagine that scenario, except the key grip and the gaffer are both world famous and their beef is very public. And now everybody in the world is watching to see how, and they're taking sides and they're watching to see what you're going to do to fix this situation. It's hard enough when nobody else knows about it and you're trying to deal with individual people and egos and all that kind of stuff. But now it's something that's in front of the world. And that's the situation that Peter Safran and James Gunn have found themselves in. They've got themselves a key grip and a gaffer that are breaking into homes and choking out women in the streets of Iceland. And the whole world is watching now. And you got to figure out how you're going to manage it. And everybody's going to judge you. See, this is one of the other things too. People don't get it. When you're the person in the chair, no matter what decision you make, people are going to judge you.
Yeah.
Half the people are going to say, okay, that was the right decision. The other half of the people are going to say, you're an idiot and you botched this. And that's the thing that James Gunn is in now.
And not only that, this month's issue of Vanity Fair magazine, and Vanity Fair puts on one of the best Oscar parties, has an entire expose about this situation, about Ezra Miller's situation. And it's got an accounting, everything. So pages long. And you look at that and suddenly it's all laid out. So in case you wanted to go away, oh, here's a respected magazine that comes along. And just in case you forgot, here's a complete layout of what was going on. It's actually a sympathetic article in the end. But still, no matter what you do, it's going to linger and fester and it becomes a problem unless you deal with it. And like you said, even when you do deal with it, half the people think you dealt with it wrong.
Yeah, and that's part of the rap. But you know what? James Gunn is one of the more level-headed, right outlook on life, proper temperament kind of guys that I think him, and I've never met Peter Safran, but I think he's going to deal with it well. But it's a big challenge. Congratulations, first day on the job. Bleh, Ezra Miller, deal with it. Like, what are you going to do?
I think the one saving grace though is that ultimately the product that Warner Brothers has is.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying? One of our viewers in the live chat, Jordan, just wrote in the live chat, hey guys, I just got here. Has Rob spoiled anything yet?
Yo.
Sorry.
Maybe I spoiled your day.
Oh,
that
no.
just. Oh. I don't know where I got this reputation for being Mr. Spoiler guy.
I wonder. I actually have a question though, on structurally wise.
Sure.
I get it. It's DC Films, but wouldn't Warner Brothers, the overarching Warner Brothers, have some say and control in this?
Oh, of course of course they would. But the reputation of David Zaslav is, and this was one of the reasons why I got so excited when they said he was going to come in and run things, was that his reputation is he picks really qualified people to run divisions, and then he lets them run those divisions.
So when he delegates, he doesn't micromanage.
Yeah,
he delegates.
He steps in where he needs to, but he's a guy whose basic philosophy is, hey, if I was a movie executive, I'd be running a studio. Instead, I'm running this whole corporation. I'm hiring you to run that studio.
Right. Gotcha.
And so I'm sure he'll get involved where he needs to. And sometimes when the overall corporate mandate may override, so I'm sure that'll happen from time to time. But like, unlike at Disney, where, you know, when they removed James Gunn initially, that wasn't Kevin Feige's decision.
Right.
Kevin Feige found out about that. So it was made above his head. Whereas David Zaslav is much more, hey, you are the head of that department. You deal with the issues in that
Gotcha.
department. So So we'll see how that all kind of goes. Anyway, it's been on my head all day, just thinking about James Gunn taking over the situation.
I also don't think that there's going to be any real ramifications on this new regime because this happened before they got there. And I think they're going to have to deal with it, certainly.
Oh, sure.
But they're not going to be blamed for anything. I think moving forward, what's going to happen is starting literally Tuesday, which is when they start.
November 1st.
From then on, and I do believe they're going to hit the ground running, they're expected to deliver. Their contracts, like you said earlier, it's only 4 years. And in 4 years, that's 2 tentpole properties for James Gunn to direct. And however many, they've really got to start now.
Yeah, but I don't think James Gunn is going to direct 2 tentpole films in 2 years. He still has to. I mean, he's still going to direct, but he still has to be CEO and chairman of the overall company, right? So I see him doing 1 tentpole film, and I don't know if it was you that suggested it or you that suggested it. I can't remember who it was, but I am not going to be surprised at all. Even Tuesday, I wouldn't be surprised at all to hear that James Gunn is going to direct a new Superman movie.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
And that would probably be it for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yes, and I would say that's something that's probably why Henry Cavill is. And a lot of people would say, well, we don't want Superman to be like Guardians of the Galaxy or be like Suicide Squad. I think that James Gunn, the guy is smart enough to understand by making he can make a fun movie. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy was not diminished because it had humor in it. And I think that kind of humor, Superman needs, look at the original Superman. Richard Donner's Mr. Luthor. I mean, come on. Otisburg. Otisburg. It's just a little place, Mr. Luthor. It's just a little place. Otisburg. I mean, come on. There's a lot of goofiness in that movie, and it still works. I'm not saying James Gunn's going to go goofy like that. But lest we forget, I mean, they did make a Superman movie with Richard Pryor.
Yes.
Skiing off the side of a building.
Where Superman literally fought a computer.
Yes.
That held him down by wrapping some wires around.
I will say, though, at my age, when I saw Superman 3, what did I say? When I saw Superman 3, that was terrifying. Watching those those
computer
wires,
wrap them all up and mummify him.
And then she became a robot. I was terrified.
But even then I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Those are still just regular Earth wires, right? Like, I don't care how many times you wrap it around them. That's still super. Listen, a lot of people forget too about James Gunn is that like the tone of Peacemaker was perfect for Peacemaker. The tone he brought to Guardians of the Galaxy, well, it still had a bunch of humor. It was very different from what he did in Peacemaker, but it was perfect for Guardians of the Galaxy. It made it an $800+ million hit. But then you go back a little bit earlier. Look at Slither. I mean, I always go back to Slither because Slither, I think, is just a brilliant film.
But the tone,
right? It was a good balance of horrifying and scary and serious and funny, all matched up. Listen, when you're talking about comic book movies, there are going to be some rare exceptions. That for good, there will be some rare exceptions. When you're talking about comic book movies, the best ones are the ones that know how to find that balance.
Yes.
That know how to have heavy stakes, make it feel exciting, make it feel daunting and threatening, while also peppering the levity and the fun of it all too. And that's when you're looking at films like The Avengers, you're looking at films like Deadpool, you're looking at films, of those ilk. And I think if they can bring that to Superman, they'll be doing very well. Listen, we got to get moving on here because we are actually here to take your comments and questions. So that is what we're going to do. So the super chats are now closed. Just so you know, the super chats are closed. So we want to hear from you guys, the questions that you guys have already sent in. So yeah, what do we got? Oh, well, we'll get to those in a second because we're about 15 minutes in. So let's get into some super chat questions, shall we?
I got one.
All right, what do we got up here?
Jay Master says, Russell Amador says, Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. Tune in, y'all. It's live. I can't wait.
Oh, it's already launched?
It's launched.
Oh,
Del Toro horror?
Taylor started. We were kind of watching
it launched yesterday,
on our break yesterday.
I didn't even know it launched yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're releasing them in sections through Halloween.
All right. Well, I am definitely going to be watching this. I've been looking forward to this ever since the first trailer came out.
Can't wait.
All right. What's next?
Jay Master says, so I just read Hocus Pocus 2 is Nielsen's #1 biggest ever recorded opening weekend for a movie with 2.7 billion minutes watched.
I just don't know what that means.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
it means there's a lot of girls and their moms watching this movie. That's what it means.
I mean, I guess, look, I do remember reading a report that Hocus Pocus became like the biggest opening of the year for like, I think it might have exceeded the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. I can't remember, but it came out like gangbusters, which is funny because I obviously many people did. I'm just saying I don't personally know anybody that's watched Hocus Pocus 2.
No.
But
No, I
apparently
have not.
of course
Oh,
Taylor did.
Surprise.
Yeah, Taylor did. But apparently like
I only
everybody
saw
else on the planet did.
First one like a year ago. So
But I have to say, hearing like Hocus Pocus, I mean, I know, traditional gender roles aren't the same, but it seems to me that Hocus Pocus 2 is for girls and their moms what Top Gun Maverick could be for boys and their dads if you saw that movie back in the day.
Yeah, but I mean, I know lots of young kids, boys and girls, watch the original Hocus Pocus.
Oh, yeah, of course,
I know
of
everybody
course.
watched the original Hocus Pocus.
I'm just, that explain. Yeah, anybody can watch Hocus
Yeah.
Pocus. I wasn't trying to delineate and say no, but it's kind of trying to be funny.
All right.
But I do think that there's a monster, like Hocus Pocus is one of those movies that were in people's videos collections.
Yeah.
That
Now,
kids watched over and over and over.
here's the thing. Michael Gonzalez in the live chat brings up an interesting question. And I get this question, but Michael Gonzalez is saying, I wish they would just say what the viewership is instead of this minute stuff.
Right.
Here's the problem. What equals a view?
Yeah.
Because this has been a big thing that was going on for a long time with the various streamers. Because one streaming service would count a view as if you watch the whole thing. Another streaming service would say, if you watched 3 minutes of it, that counts as a view. It's like, really? So if somebody tuned into something for like 8 minutes, like a movie for 8, 9, 10, 11 minutes and thought, this sucks, I'm turning this on. That counts as much of a view as somebody else who watched 2 hours of it. And so every streaming service had their own definition of what a view is. So I'm with you. Like, I really wish there was just some way they can say this particular movie or TV show had X number of million viewers. That's great. But the problem is we still wouldn't know what that means, because one place will count a view as, did you watch 10 seconds of it? Mm-hmm. Another place will count a view as, did you go buy it on the carousel on Netflix and it started automatically playing for a few seconds?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what does a view mean? And that's one of the funny little areas of the streaming era that we're in, because we're still in the very early wild, wild west days of the streaming era. But this is one of the issues that needs to be worked out. And unfortunately, straight up minutes viewed is actually, while confusing, probably the most quantifiable thing they can say.
It's the most accurate, especially for YouTube. Like when we're looking at YouTube, you can see how many people watch. Like if a viewer comes on and watches our show, you can see the average of how many minutes a person watches, and they've got all those
what
analytics.
they were doing in their living room while they were watching. It's great.
It's completely fantastic. As a matter of fact, hold on a second. I will tell you this. So I remember I was talking to a YouTube rep. How long ago was VidCon? Because I spoke at VidCon for
April, right?
Something like that, right? So they spoke to me when I was there, and I'm going to see if I can bring up this number, if I can, where they were asking, where is one of my live shows? Hold on a second here. They were telling me about average minutes watched, right? And they were going into that whole part of it. And one of the things that they told me was that for longer videos, like videos that clock in at like over an hour or something like that, right? For average videos like that, the average watch time ends up being about 12 minutes per hour. Like for videos like are an hour or so longer, I think they told me that the average view time was something around the world of 12 minutes. She said, your videos, your average viewers are between triple and quadruple that number. So like when people tune in and watch the John Campea Show, they may not be watching all 2 hours in one sitting,
right?
But they watch longer than most videos on YouTube that clock in an hour or longer, which is very interesting. Mm-hmm. But
they're watching 60 to 80% of it.
Yeah, but it's really difficult for us in a views world to wrap our brains around. Okay, so what is 2.7 70 jillion minutes mean? I'm still not really sure about that. Yeah, Ms. Minutes can answer the question. We need Ms. Minutes to answer. All right. Anyway, what's next?
Randall Amador says, choose one: play Ragnarok or watch Black Panther Forever, or Wakanda Forever.
I can either play a game and then move on with my life.
I think play Ragnarok.
Wait, bring that up again.
Choose one: play Ragnarok. Oh, you know what that must be?
Oh, it's
that
not watch Black Panther Forever. Watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, but it's,
I gotta say, why would I want to watch Black Panther Forever?
I think it's play God of War Ragnarok.
Yes, God of War Ragnarok. That part I knew. I'm like, or watch Black Panther Forever. It's probably play God of War or watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very excited about this movie.
But what happens? What are you going to do after 3 hours? You could play. You could play God of War Ragnarok. For
hang out with
days.
my wife.
There is that.
Maybe
there is
know.
that. See, I mean, right now, he didn't say that we're never going to see Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but right now, I would love to sit down and play God of War.
Oh, so would I. But if I had to choose between them, I'm going to take Black Panther. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Jay Master says, I just read an interview in Entertainment Weekly. John Favreau confirmed that Disney Plus and Star Wars Ahsoka series will be a samurai adventure series.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I hear lots of directors all the time say, our show is going to be a blah, blah, blah thriller of a blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, and then you watch, it's like, well, maybe to them that's what it was, but it's not to me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not disparaging John Favreau. You know I love John Favreau, but I'm saying that's great that he says that, and maybe that's what it is kind of in his mind, but we'll see for ourselves.
I mean, that's what The Mandalorian is anyway.
In essence, it really is. That really
it's
is
literally Lone Wolf
because samurai stories had influenced westerns, and so it's more closely looks like a western, but it's influenced by samurai.
And actually, if you look at the story of the Mandalorian really is the story of a Ronin.
Right.
I mean, it really is. So,
100%.
so it's not surprising to hear that he would say that. All right, what's next?
Mike's Movie Madness says, John, I think Chapek heard you were saying nice things about him because I just saw a clip of him from an interview where he said adults don't like animated films. I'm like, you're in charge of Disney?
Yeah, the exact quote from is from good old Bobby Paycheck there. The exact quote is something along the lines of, I've said for years, if I'm remembering how he said this, I've said for years that when mom and dad are finished watching an animated movie with their kids and they put their kids to bed, they don't want to then put on another animated movie. And I remember thinking, this is the CEO of Disney? Listen, I'm not saying later in the evening, it's 10 o'clock and I'm sitting at home. I'm not saying that the first thing that goes through my head is, I feel like watching an animated film. I'm not saying that. But when I'm thinking about what film to watch, a good animated film is right up there with any other film in my head. And if you don't get that adults today are as into animated films probably more than any other time in history, because now you've got parents and adults who grew up in the big golden age of animation, right? In that age of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Lion King, like those kids are now parents. And if you don't understand that, you shouldn't be CEO of Disney. And so listen, but at the same time, that was one comment made off the cuff. Everybody knows I'm not a fan of Bob Chapek, okay? But to be fair, that was one comment made kind of off the cuff. I don't want to ascribe to him his whole philosophy on animation based on one comment that he could have meant very lightly and maybe even taken out of context. So even though, I'm not a fan of Chapek, let's not gang pile on him for that comment because it was just one comment. But it was a very strange comment to make.
Was this the most recent? Like the Wall Street Journal had put on like a live stream where he was talking about his idea for the future of Disney. Was that from that? I don't remember which. This was like yesterday, and I wanted to catch it, and I missed it.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it came from.
I think I'm going to get an animated box set of Japanese series Bible Black, and I'm going to send it to Bob Chapek and say, I got turned into this by an old girlfriend of mine, and she liked to watch it at night.
By the way, Fanjector said yes, it was the Wall Street Journal article. All right, what's next?
Heroes 75 102 says, I'm a fan of history and movies. I love movies like Lincoln and Midway from 1976. What is your favorite movie about a historical person or event?
Here's part 2.
And is there a historical person, even which hasn't gotten a movie yet, which you feel deserves one? Thanks, and keep up the great work.
That's a good question. I'd have to think about that. Well, yeah, there it is.
Based on a true story.
The documentary, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
I have one off the top. For me, just because I loved it in my teens and 20s and onward, it was Glory.
Yeah, Glory. Glory was great. I don't know. See, I don't categorize films like that way in my head. So I'm trying to even think of.
I mean, I'd love to see a great movie about Frederick Douglass, the great statesman, the great speech maker. I have Frederick Douglass on my microphone at home. I love Frederick Douglass. I'd love to see a definitive Frederick Douglass movie. But in terms of historical films, I have to go to Lawrence of Arabia. That's one of my favorite.
Even just as a film, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's that very loosely, because I believe there was. I think it's very, very, very loosely. But Spartacus was based on true history.
Yeah.
So I mean, so both Spartacus and the original Kirk Douglas and Lawrence of Arabia with Peter O'Toole. Both of those are my top 10 favorite films of all time. Yeah. So I'd have to put that up there.
I mean, I love great historical dramas are great. I mean, I love Amadeus. It's a goof. It's based on a play, but Mozart was a real guy.
Yeah. Sure.
And I still love seeing. I mean, I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important for film fans to understand all of them take some creative license.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that because I think it was Fanjack in the live chats that mentioned Braveheart.
Yeah.
A little creative license in that movie, but it's awesome.
Look, Ruth Carter, who we have on the channel, she did Amistad. I love Amistad.
Yeah.
I didn't know she did Amistad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and what was really interesting is she talks in the interview about how she was a Broadway kid. Her mom took her to see Broadway plays, and it was The Color Purple. It was Spielberg's The Color Purple that made her want to work in film. And then she later worked for Steven Spielberg on Amistad.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That's my favorite Steven Spielberg film.
It's a great movie.
All right, what's next?
Culture Wars Diplomacy says, not like the comics, Mary Sue, fridging any criticisms you usually dismiss, an example of a work that suffered because it was a valid criticism. Let me read this again. Not like the comics, Mary Sue, fridging any criticisms you usually dismiss, and an example of a work that suffered because it was a valid.
I have no idea what it is they're asking.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, guys, proofread, not for spelling erers. Proofread.
I mean, I understand the gist of what he's.
I don't understand what he's trying to get at all.
Like, what is there? Is he asking about something that is valid about a character that gets?
Did Yoda write that? I'm not sure. Anyway, sorry. I'm sorry about that, dude. We have no idea what it is you're asking. All right, let's move on. What's next?
Mike's Movie Madness says, hey, John, with the Gunn and Safran deal at DC, over or under 30%, Disney arranges a similar structure with Lucasfilm, maybe appointing Favreau as creative CEO.
No, but Lucasfilm doesn't have a CEO, right? Marvel and Lucasfilm, the subsidiaries of Disney, are not structured that way. So there's no CEO. So you can have, that's why, like, Kevin Feige's not the CEO of Marvel. He is the president. I think he's co-chair or something like that. Anyway, I never would have thought Jon Favreau would be the right guy to do it until I saw how he shepherded Mandalorian. But even then, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy was heavily involved in Mandalorian as well. At least according to Jon Favreau, she was. So I'm not sure. Here's the thing. If Favreau were to do that, and I don't think they will, but if they did, because remember, Favreau was also involved with the Book of Boba Fett. But if he were, it would have to be something along the lines of what they just did with DC, in that you'd have to get somebody who's truly an industry executive and understands that side of the business and knows how to run a company to do it with them. So, but yeah, other than that, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy's going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, I think she should, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. All right, what's next?
Opius88 says, "Hi, John. Unpopular opinion, but I think DC doesn't need Gunn and Safran as their Feige. DC should stick to what works best for them, non-shared universe films like Joker and the Reeves Batman."
Okay, and who do you think runs that? Regardless of whether you're doing shared cinematic universe, regardless if you're doing all individual standalone films, you still need executives in charge of that who greenlight, develop, all that kind of stuff. Like the formula, forget the formula, has nothing to do with whether they're interconnected movies or not interconnected movies. That's irrelevant. You still need somebody in charge, like whether it's been at Paramount or Universal or at Lionsgate or at Warner Brothers or whatever, you still have your executives at the studios that are in charge of running the whole operation and making sure they're putting out quality content, quality films, films that will make money, getting other people involved. Like all that stuff is a part of it. It has nothing to do with it being a shared cinematic universe at all. You still need somebody running the ship. And I agree with you that a part of running that ship is this ship should have a side of it or a level of it that is dedicated to standalone individual films. Like, here's the thing. Too many people believe it's an either or. You either got to do a shared cinematic universe or you can do individual standalone isolated universe films. It's like, no, it's not an either or. It's a both and. You can do both. Disney, or DC, I should say, is starting to show us that you can do both and do both successfully. So that's what I think James Gunn will continue to do. At least I certainly hope it is.
Well, what's interesting is they're doing something that Marvel isn't. You know,
yes,
the
which
Joker,
I love.
The Joker movie is a perfect example. A $65 million spend that makes $1 billion. That was a monster. Even if they doubled the marketing budget, say they spent $200 million including marketing, it still made over $1 billion. That's a huge success. Huge. And it shows that they don't have to. It's so weird that we're always comparing and contrasting. And I've never felt that we should compare. Like, I like the fact you've got the Nolan Batman trilogy, and now we've got the Zack Snyder Man of Steel Justice League trilogy. That's done in my mind. Now do something else. Now we're going to get a James Wan, perhaps Aquaman trilogy. Now, Aquaman was a spin-off of Zack Snyder's world, but with 3 Aquaman movies, I would see that as James Wan's Aquaman trilogy. It doesn't have to connect with anything else. I mean, there's no reason why these movies have to even connect at all. It's fun that they do, but like the James Bond movies, 25 movies are 60 years, and there's barely any continuity between them, and there's always the same characters, M, Q, Bond, but they don't always match up.
Because I would put it like this, too. I am somebody who, at the end of the day, despite all the problems that I had with it, I enjoyed Thor: Love and Thunder. I walked out having had a good time, but a lot of issues. There are a lot of people who just straight up didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder. So I posed the question. Okay, take Love and Thunder and just add a few more direct connections to other MCU films. Does it really make that movie any better? No. If you didn't like that movie, you weren't going to like that movie whether it was super tightly connected with the rest of its shared cinematic universe or not. A movie's either good or it isn't. And if it's a good movie interconnected with a wider universe, great. If it's a good movie that's an isolated standalone movie, great. But yeah, it's not going to make your movies any better or worse.
I mean, what's really interesting to me is like we're all asking ourselves this question about like mutants. Now the idea of Namor's coming up. Well, we're expecting them to caress mutants into the MCU. What if they create their own mutant MCU thing that is not connected to the MCU as we know it? It's their own thing. Like, it's only mutants. The mutants exist. There's no Avengers in mutant land.
I mean, that's how I think they should do it. I really believe that's the way they should do it. They're
and
not
they
going
would. Do you
to.
think after a couple of movies, nobody would care?
Yeah. No, I agree. As long as the movies are good.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
winning cures everything. If the movie's good, nobody else will care about anything else.
No.
But there you go. All right, what's next?
Jay Master says, I watched Chippendale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus again for 10 plus more times until I found a Lou Bugs Bunny's costume cameo. This movie is really good and funny. Have you watched it yet, John? Highly recommend.
I have not had a single person that has talked to me about Chippendale that has not said that it's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Everybody tells me it's really wonderful. I have not sat down to watch it yet. But I'll tell you what. I actually I got a text from my wife just before we started. There it is. There's the text from my wife. Just started. And suggesting, the pool cleaner came by today. So we should hang out in the hot tub tonight since it's just being cleaned. What we do once in a while is we'll roll the TV, because we got the TV on the roller here. we've got a TV on a roller. We roll it out, sit it by the hot tub. We bring out some drinks and just watch something out there. So maybe tonight it's a hot tub and Chippendales night.
There you go.
Maybe I'll have to check out Chip because everybody tells me it's absolutely wonderful. So I'll probably have to check it out.
That's a good night.
All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, I just got the Marvel Anatomy book. It covers various species like aliens, mutants, and enhanced people, and all written from T'Challa's POV like a textbook.
Really?
I've never heard of this.
POV. Interesting.
I mean, that is interesting.
And it covers mutants?
I just looked this up right now. It looks so cool. I'll put up some artwork for you guys.
That would be great.
I've never even-
not
This is
heard
the
of this
cover
product.
of it.
Well, look at
So
that.
this
Wow,
is
that's
more
cool.
within the comic world, though.
It's,
not.
yeah, I guess because look at that. You got your comic book Wolverine
Yeah.
Look at this,
costume
though.
there.
But that's cool.
Because currently, like, why would? Yeah, it's not the
Look at
MCU,
that.
but it's the
That's
comic.
really
That's awesome.
That's cool. I'm gonna get this book.
The art in there is really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
get this
very
book.
I would
different.
have that as a table side book.
Yeah.
It's different, but it does reminisce of like the Star Wars would do that with all the
Yes.
creatures
Oh,
and all
the
that.
Star Wars, the
Legendaries.
art of Star Wars
Yeah.
books are second to none. I hate the prequels, but two things they crushed. The DVD bonus material
Yeah.
crushes, but their art of books.
Right.
Oh yeah.
The art of Attack of the Clones, the art of The Force Awakens, or of The Phantom Menace, the art of Revenge of the Sith, they are magnificent.
Yep.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. I love those types of books. All right, what's next?
Jason Bryden says Terrifier 2 is slashing its way to 1,500 theaters this weekend after starting its unlikely run in 700. How cool is this for indie and extreme horror? This just thrills me as a slasher fan.
I am not trying to throw a bucket of water on any enthusiasm here, okay? But part of the reason for this is there's nothing in the theaters.
Right.
That right now the movie theaters are desperate to find anything that's getting a little bit of traction because I was just at the AMC Burbank 16 the other day. That's 16 theaters in that building. You can only put Black Adam on so many of them. And you got to fill it with content. And so they are really looking. I mean, there was literally some movies that are 6 months old that they've put back on the screens in there because they have
It's
nothing
kind
to
of
play in there.
awesome in a bad way. It's kind of
Yeah,
awesome.
in some ways.
I mean, I
like,
just
cool.
liked it.
I can go see
According,
this.
I mean, Taylor's seen this movie, but it's traumatic for some people. And I love the fact that these people that think they're horror fans are going to go and see Terrifier 2, and it's not exactly a smile.
No, but that all being said, it does speak to the fact that this movie is finding a home with some people,
Yes.
right? I mean, they're not just putting up any garbage in the theater. Like they're not putting up movie trailers, a love story on their empty things, although they totally should, but they're not. I mean, so that clearly is also a sign that this movie is touching a nerve with a lot of people.
Yeah, when you look at the now playing list here, it ain't many rows.
All right, what's next?
Suthius says, with Werewolf, this holiday special, and the somewhat directionless Phase 4, I think it's possible we've seen some different timelines since Loki. I agree. Remember I said that we're going to find out that a lot of these movies are all taking place in different timelines?
Yeah, I still don't know that I buy that.
I don't know either. I don't buy it
I mean,
either
Loki is
necessarily,
a
but-
different thing, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Loki, in its own way, takes place outside of time. But I mean, yeah, it could
My
be.
problem with that is that Multiverse of Madness established that the different timeline. Oh, wait. Are we talking about different timelines or different universes?
different
Because
timeline.
Bring up the
Okay.
question again. Bring up the question again.
We established in Multiverse of a Madness that the different universes, there were some pretty like red means go and green means like
Right.
there's things that just didn't make sense that we're in a different universe. So to then say, oh, these have been different universes, they're exactly the same, but just it doesn't work for me.
I
if
know.
we were to find out suddenly, if they were to come out and say, surprise, this movie doesn't even happen in the same universe as this movie.
No.
They're all different timelines.
I don't think different universes.
I think a
Yeah.
lot of MCU fans would be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, because they also, like I said, they established that those different universes were identifiable in some way. You'd know you're in a different
That's
universe.
true. That's true.
Different timelines. We saw in Loki, those timelines fracture off. Now, maybe that is an explanation.
Actually, I'm curious.
Ties in Kang.
Taylor is the one who like rushes out and tries to see everything as quickly as possible.
Taylor
I
unifies
really
all
do.
timelines
Have
here.
you
at-
yet seen Pooh, Blood and Honey?
I'm
Because
so
that's the horror
confused.
movie the world is waiting for.
I've been waiting It was going to go up against Black Adam and destroy Black Adam, first of all. But I'm very confused because I went to go get tickets. It was not playing at AMC, at Regal, at Cinemark, at the place that sells $2 hot dogs. There, it's nowhere.
That's like my thing with Lost Boys. They keep showing now playing, and you can't find it anywhere.
Where is my blood and where is my honey?
By the way, the new transfer of Lost Boys is great. I would go see that in a theater.
I want to.
All right, let's keep going on here. What's next?
Dangerous Lee says, playing trailers in front of movies is part of the experience, but my 2:10 screening of Black Adam didn't actually start until 2:35. Wow.
That's standard.
Yeah.
That's standard. And you're lucky it was just that.
Yeah.
I have been, now this is not normal, but I have been in a theater once where 38 minutes after the advertised start time. Listen, I love trailers. I made an entire documentary about trailers. I love them. But trailers are what they are. They're little pieces of marketing. They can be fun, but you don't play a half hour of them. Look, this is my baseline argument all the time. I don't mind going on a YouTube video that I get to watch for free on a YouTube channel and some ads play. Hey, I'm getting it for free. So play some ads so the creators can make some money. Great. That's a fair exchange. That's a fair deal. If I want to take, the free service, whatever streaming service, great. But if I pay for the premium version of that streaming service, there better not be 6 commercials in it when I'm paying for a premium version, right? At a movie theater, I am paying you to come and sit in that seat. This wasn't free. I paid you. I paid you sometimes upwards of $20 for one ticket. And if I'm paying you $20 for one ticket, I don't want to see 30 minutes of fucking commercials. And I'm sorry, but that's what a movie trailer is. A movie trailer is a commercial. It's a unique style of commercial. They can be wonderful, fun commercials, but they are nonetheless commercials. Don't show me a half hour of ads if I'm paying you $20 to be in your theater for 2 hours.
I also have to say that this is kind of weird to say, but my attention span is such that I don't want to see 6 or 7 trailers because it's discombobulating. Now I'm thinking about 6 or 7 movies, and my thought process, I like sitting down. What I loved about the ArcLight, rest in peace, is to go sit in the ArcLight. I knew I was going to get 3 trailers.
Yep.
So I would get my 3 trailers, beginning, middle, and an end, and then the movie would start. But if I'm watching like 6 trailers, I'm thinking about all 6 movies when I really want to be focused on one thing. And I know it's a weird thing to say, but I don't like seeing a bunch of different stuff, a smorgasbord of imagery before I go to see a movie.
It's funny you mentioned the ArcLight because former manager at the ArcLight, who was also the former senior editor of Rotten Tomatoes, our friend Gray Drake.
Oh, right.
Is in my documentary Movie Trailers, A Love Story.
She echoes that.
And she mentions in that, she goes, here's the thing about movie trailers. Every movie trailer is a mini movie. They actually have beginnings, middles, and ends. And they take you emotionally on this ride, right? So you have your intro, setup, climax of the trailer, right? She goes, emotionally, that does something to you. And then you go through that roller coaster for the second trailer and the third trailer and the fourth trailer and the fifth trailer and the sixth trailer and the seventh trailer and then the 8th trailer. And she said, by the time you get, because being a former manager at ArcLight, that 3 trailer in a movie thing was important because she said, by the time you get through 7, 8, 9, 10 trailers, you're kind of emotionally exhausted, whether you kind of realize it or not.
Yeah.
And as they pointed out at CinemaCon, like the president of Paramount Pictures came out and said, I thought the best thing said at CinemaCon, came out and said, hey, movie theater owners, maybe cut back on the amount of trailers you're playing because you're playing so many trailers, people don't even remember which trailers they just watched.
Right.
So the more trailers you play, the less effective the trailers are. Go to ArcLight. When I would watch a movie at ArcLight, the next day I could tell you the 3 trailers I watched at the movie. I can't do that coming out of a movie out of AMC.
And what I loved about the ArcLight was that was their MO. So when you went in there, you knew that's what you were going to get. And I actually looked forward to the 3 trailers. I knew that I was going to get these 3 trailers, and I could mentally, I was prepared. I know it sounds strange, but it's funny you mentioned that because that's exactly what happens. You watch 6 or 7 or 8 trailers and you're like, you've been whipped around. It's like, by the time the movie starts, it's like, what am I here to see?
All right. What's next?
James Argenta says over under 25% following character. Over or under 25% the following characters appear in Andor season 1: Palpatine, Krennic, Leia as Mon's Senate apprentice, Bail, Hera leads another rebel cell, and Vader.
I'm going to say, let's bring up that list again there, Taylor, because I want to take a look at those names. Palpatine, no. Krennic, maybe. Leia, this is 5 years before the event. So Leia at this point is what, 13, 14? I'm going to guess no. Hera, I'm going to guess no. Although the timeline is right for that, but I'm going to guess no.
So chronologically, this takes place after Kenobi?
Yes.
I had it in my mind this was before. Okay.
Right. Yeah, this takes after the events of Kenobi. So, because this is 5 years. This is 5 years before the events of the original Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
So, but Krennic is the most interesting one. But then again, no, you know what? Forget that. No, because 5 years later, when we get into the events of Rogue One, the Rebel Alliance still never even heard of the Death Star. Well, at the beginning of Rogue One, the Rebels have never even heard of the Death Star. So why would they introduce Death Star elements 5 years prior? Because that's what Krennic is doing right now. Right. He's overseeing the Death Star program. So I'm going to say probably none of them.
I think we're going to see Palpatine.
He's the only one to me that makes sense.
I mean, that would make sense.
Because we've seen the Senate, and I think that we're going to see him address the Senate, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him and Mon Mothma have a scene together. Because of all they say they're not going to do fan service. She's a senator.
And it's his Senate.
And it's his Senate. So I would imagine that whatever happens at the end of this climax of season 1, she's going to be run out of the Senate. They're going to find out. She's going to get uncovered. That we're seeing the on one hand they're chasing Andor. They're finding who did what to whom. So we're coming to an apex. And whatever happens at the end of this season, I think that she's going to confront Palpatine. It's going to drive Mon Mothma off to help found the rebellion, and shit's going to go down.
Here's an interesting thing. I find this because you could totally have that scene. Palpatine makes sense. Bail Organa makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a theory earlier this week that I really like, and that's this. You remember how in the most recent episode, Saw and Luthen were having the conversation. You're finding out, so there isn't a one organized rebellion yet. There's all these pockets of resistance popping up. That's all their own things, right? So somebody brought this up to me, and I thought, I don't know if this is true, but the theory is great. Mon Mothma's husband. What if he is actually a part of one of these rebel movements? But he's even hiding it, just like Mon Mothma is hiding her involvement from her husband. What if this is a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing, where both of them are actually that, and the daughter, because the daughter acts weird, and I wonder if the daughter and the father, like, what if they're actually plugged in, and he's just keeping up his appearances like Luthen? Oh, I don't care about charity, and oh, so tired. But I know I kind of like that. That would be pretty cool to find out. And then he dies, he gets killed. Which, because she doesn't have her husband with him when we get into the movies. I know. I heard that.
I like that idea. I think that we're seeing, because they're in the end game now. We'll see where they're going.
I have a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory. So we did get Ian to come back for Obi-Wan. What if that's not the only show he shot a little quick cameo for?
And listen, the great thing with Ian is it doesn't matter how much older Ian gets. Ian McDiarmid, the actor who plays Palpatine, who, by the way, is my wife's favorite Star Wars character. But because of the Emperor makeup, it doesn't matter. He can do it as long. And by the way, we just saw him at a convention. He is like spry and healthy and ready to go. I would love it. It would make sense.
Yeah, right. I would love to see him.
What's next?
Jay Master says, for the last Fox X-Men movie, The New Mutants is now on Disney+. Also, did you guys see the past few days, Disney and Marvel released a fake plot for the Fantastic Four movie coming out in 2024?
I did not see that.
I did not see that.
I will always think of The New Mutants very fondly, because you got to remember, New Mutants was the first movie that came out in theaters in the middle of the pandemic. It had been 6 months since I had stepped foot in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And the movie theaters in California were still shut down. But in Nevada, they were allowed to be opened with some real strict health guidelines. But there was a movie theater in Las Vegas that was showing New Mutants. And me and my buddy Soul, we were like, you know what? We are going to get in the car. We're going to drive 3.5 hours to Vegas, and we're going to go watch that movie. And because it would be my first time back in a movie theater in 6 months. And then we're going to turn around and drive 3.5 hours back. We drove 7 hours to watch a 2-hour movie, but it was so good. You have to understand, I'd never gone that long between visits to a movie theater. I hadn't been in a theater in 6 months. So whatever you may think of New Mutants, it will always hold a special place in my heart just for that.
Well, for me too, because we went and saw it at that pop-up drive-in at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And I'd never been to a pop-up drive-in before, and it was a really good experience.
We went and saw, what was the Tom Hanks space movie again? About the Apollo 13, Apollo 13.
Apollo 13, I was going to say.
That just reminded me
of. That was a new movie.
It's a joke I make about my wife all the time, because Ann once said, "What's that movie? The one with Aaron Brockovich?" I'm like, Aaron Brockovich.
So it was Apollo 13?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were.
No. I'm like,
Earth to the Moon.
I thought you were thinking about some new movie.
No, what's that one? Tom Hanks. It involves Apollo 13. You mean Apollo 13, genius? Yes, that's the one.
You know that movie where he's a castaway?
Yeah. The one where he's cast away. What's that one? The one where he plays Forrest Gump. What's the name of that one? Anyway, we went to go see at that same pop-up theater at the Rose Bowl. We went to go see Apollo 13 there. That was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
That was a long way of saying he's done it too. Have you ever done, just quickly, like those outdoor theaters, like at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery? Or
Oh, yeah.
I used to go to Cinespia when it first started, and that just became annoying.
It gets crowded now.
It's like the people there.
You used to be able to just go in, but now it's a hard time.
And I don't like it anymore that everyone's too hipper than thou, and they have to like.
But there's another company that do it at different locations. They do it at different locations, and it's not Cinespia.
Right.
I can't remember that one, but it's really great.
Yeah. As long as people don't just shut up.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going here. What's next?
This is the longest chat. Richard K says, for Reeves' Batverse, I would like these castings. What do you think of the list? Doug Jones as Scarecrow, Peter Dinklage as Jervis Tech Mad Hatter, Sophia Boutella as Talia al Ghul.
Richard, I think almost go ahead and write in the live chat right now, guys, what I'm about to say, because everybody knows what I'm about to say.
Do X actor and X role. As long as you add talent, that's what counts.
Those are not bad suggestions.
No, again, listen,
those aren't bad.
These are suggestions that, if I heard tomorrow those announcements are made, they, like 50 or 60 others, I would go, okay, that's interesting. I really like Doug Jones on Discovery. Like, I really like his character quite a bit on Discovery. I like the way he plays that. But
he's good on Discovery.
Yeah, but ultimately, I mean, here's the thing. You don't know. Well, like, let's bring the question up there again. You and I don't know, like Scarecrow. Okay, Doug Jones is great, but you have no idea if Matt Reeves was putting Scarecrow in his movie, how would he be portraying what kind of Scarecrow is Matt Reeves putting in that movie? Because if we knew, then we might go, oh, Doug Jones would be the last person for that. Like, if we knew, right?
Right.
So when we as fans do these wild fan castings, we're casting an actor with a version of the character that we're making up in our own heads. And so that's why I just don't get into the fan casting stuff. I just say, hey, you're the ones who know the script. You're the one who knows what you want this character to be, not the version I have of it in my head. So you go ahead and you choose who's going to perform it best. And as long as you get a talented performer, and Doug Jones is a talented performer, I love Sophia Boutella as well, but I mean, then that would be good with me.
By the way, apropos of nothing, the 4th episode of Tales of the Jedi, it is Liam Neeson playing Qui-Gon Jinn, and it is Ian McDermott playing Palpatine.
I thought I heard...
the credits.
Help me out. I thought I heard that Liam Neeson's son was doing the voice of Qui-Gon Jinn.
It's Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's son also has a voice in the show. I forgot which character it was.
Maybe
I think
that's
it was like
what
a Padawan.
Maybe that's what I heard. Okay. All right, what's next?
Suthia says, my personal casting for Sue and Johnny, Rebecca Ferguson and Matt Bomer. Krasinski's 43. Ferguson is 39. Even though Bomer's 45, the dude looks like he's 30.
Well, Krasinski looks like he's in his early 30s too.
By the way, did you see the trailer for the new third season of Jack Ryan that dropped today?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
No.
Oh.
Jonathan and I were talking about this earlier today, and I've mentioned it before. I am so over the super spy show or movie where it's like, now your own government is hunting you. Oh my God, are we doing that again?
I mean, but that is also MI3.
I mean, that's everything.
I mean, MI3, it's also Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it's it's all of them. Every time, whether it's 24 or if there's a super spy thing and it's a franchise of any kind, at some point they're on the run from their own government. It's like, come on, are we doing this again?
I just liked it because with Tom Clancy and Jack Ryan, it means the nuke could go off.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
it did in the Ben Affleck one, right?
Some of all fears. I was like, oh my God, they blew up the Super Bowl.
And listen, I like the show very much, but also there's one moment in that trailer that I just had to pause and go, oh my God, can I even keep watching this? When he goes, you're about to cross the line you can't come back from, because I'm doing the right thing. I'm like, oh my God, did he just say that?
Where have we seen that before? Everywhere.
So listen, I love this show. I really like Jack Reacher. I love John Krasinski in the role. And who am I kidding?
You mean Jack Ryan?
Jack Reacher.
I love Jack Reacher too.
I also like Jack Reacher.
That's a different book series.
But so I will watch it. I'm going to watch it. Absolutely, I am. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the trailer. I'm not a fan of the trailer.
I just like seeing that there's a new Jack Ryan coming out.
Yeah, it's been years. All right, what's next?
Callum says, "Hey John, do you think Michael Fassbender will come back as Magneto when we get new X-Men movies, or do you think it will be a clean slate?"
Clean slate.
Me too.
It'll 100% be a clean slate. You might get your odd multiverse cameo or something like that. I mean, they did that already with Patrick Stewart, but no, unfortunately, which is too bad because that's the last role I really liked Michael Fassbender in. He is a great Magneto.
He's great.
I would have thought like good luck trying to fill the shoes of Ian McKellen. He did so well.
I just love the fact that, I mean, however they're going to do it, that Kevin Bacon is in Guardians of the Galaxy, is an actor who played a character in a Fox X-Men movie, and in the MCU, Disney has bought Fox.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
don't think about it too hard. Your blood's going to start coming out of your ears. It's like,
what's canonical, John?
Yeah. All right, what's next?
David Goldstein says chances for a John Williams theme in a new Superman movie.
1,000%. I mean, they already played the John Williams theme with Superman comes on screen and Black Adam.
I know, and it was in Superman Returns too.
And you know, I was watching a bit of a live stream on YouTube last night where they were talking about this exact issue, and I kind of chimed in myself and I said, here's what they need to do. Hans Zimmer's theme needs to be the theme. That Hans Zimmer Superman theme, I should say, is magnificent. I love it. So that should be the main theme. But absolutely, much like what Star Trek does, they've got that great Michael Giacchino score for the new Star Trek. Ba, 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 ba. I love that theme. I really do. But what do? Every once in a while, they throw in these little musical cues of the original Star Trek music because it's familiar. It fills you with nostalgia. That's what they should do. Hans Zimmer's theme is the main theme, but every once in a while, just sprinkle in a little bit of the John Williams.
You know what I love, though, about I think somebody did a mashup of both themes together.
Oh, it's on my playlist.
It's amazing.
I love it.
And I love the fact that the full Superman theme can be used when Superman's full on Superman.
Yeah.
But the bum bum, that's when he's becoming.
Yeah, but
he's
getting First Flight.
It's so good.
I get chills thinking about Hans Zimmer's
Superman.
Use
them both. Why not?
Use them both.
Well, they tend to use them. They use the old version when he just has something poignant to say. Yeah. Something very Superman, something very like truth, justice, in the American way. Then you see that, or you hear that kind of tone come back. And then I think you use it for the action scenes, the Hans Zimmer stuff.
Yeah, see, because here's the thing, too. You take the ending of Black Adam, right? When Henry Cavill walks into frame, they have a short couple of seconds for a musical hit, right? Short couple of seconds. And while I am absolutely, Hans Zimmer's theme is the Henry Cavill Superman theme. I am 100% on that team, okay? Understand that? All right. But if Henry Cavill had just walked into frame at the end of Black Adam and you just heard, bum, bum, okay, that would have been nice. But when you just got a couple of seconds hearing, bum, 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 bum.
Well, right.
It's like for that short little moment, it's way more emotionally resonant, right? So this is a great example of when you can use both, I think.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Well, John, if I had to describe John Williams' Superman theme, I would say it is true and it is classic. True classic.
That's their way of reminding me that it's time for us to hear from one of those, very creative, Taylor, from our sponsor of this episode of Open Mic, our friends at True Classic. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts that a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either way too tight on your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore and it's time to upgrade. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. And the John Campea Show viewers and listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off using the code CAMPEA at trueclassic.com. Look, you and I both know that almost all of men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs. But let's be honest, that's not most of us. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt that you can always confidently throw on. Like most of you guys, ever since college, I've always struggled to find proper fitting t-shirts that are comfortable. Well, True Classic, from the moment I put on the shirt they sent me, solves it. And True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the promo code CAMPEA. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day refund policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you. And thank you to the folks at True Classic for sponsoring this episode. All right, let's round it out here. Let's finish this thing off. What do we got next?
Well, we've got Harv's Case says, The American Werewolf in London or The Howling? I love both, but may lean towards The Howling with Dee Wallace turning into a Pomeranian at the end.
Well, listen, obviously you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London is my all-time. Here it is right here. American Werewolf in London is my all-time
on Laserdisc.
On Laserdisc, this is my all-time favorite horror movie. 100% my all-time favorite horror movie. So for me, it's that.
I think that American Werewolf in London is a better movie than The Howling, but I do love The Howling, and The Howling has Elizabeth Banks, and it brings on the filthy, and it also has great. It's more of a. It's more. I wouldn't say goofy, but it's more. American Werewolf is more straightforward and scary. Howling's goofy, but I like it.
All right. What's next?
Sam Fisher says, I've been wanting to rewatch. I have been wanting to rewatch Rogue One. But should I wait until the Andor season ends, the series, or just watch it this weekend?
The series? You want to wait another year? No, just go rewatch it, man.
Yeah.
Just go. I mean, maybe wait until the end of season 1, but even then, no. Just go rewatch it. I went to go rewatch. Anna and I went to see it a couple times in theaters when it just came out again. It's an incredible experience. Just go watch it. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Rewatch Rogue One. Okay, I got it. Wade Cinema says, finally saw Smile last night. Thought it was dumb, typical horror that lacks in lots of areas, but the scares, wow.
I liked Smile. I did. I mean, I didn't. Before we saw it, there was a lot of people talking about, oh my God, this movie's insane. I didn't think that, but I thought it was good. Like I enjoy, for a small, low budget, excellent little premise of a horror movie, the ending left me, I thought the ending was quite predictable, to be honest with you, but it was still, I thought it was good. Did you get a chance to
I haven't seen it yet. I'll probably
I'd be curious to know your thoughts on it.
I want to see it.
All right, what's next?
Fangblaze71 says, just saw Black Adam. I thought it was Morbius with better action, score. Best part were the fight scenes where he blacked all over their atoms.
All right. Listen. Black Adam, the way you structured your statement, you're not wrong.
I don't think, yeah.
Black Adam is not that much better than Morbius. Yeah, there you go. Black Adam is actually not that much better than Morbius. As far as all the narrative story elements of it, it's not that much better. Where it really separates itself. And listen, do credit to Morbius. Morbius had some really impressive visuals and some very cool like moments of action. It did, but where Black Adam really separates itself from like something like a Morbius is those action scenes were so much fun. So much fun. And it wasn't a little moment here and there. All of the big extended big fight action sequences, the hammy Western dialogue coming out of Black Adam and all, it was all fun and entertaining. And it just, even though it's quite a bad movie, I had to rush back to the theater and watch it again. I've seen it a few times in theaters now, and I'll probably go see it again.
I agree with you. I mean, the thing about Black Adam was it was fun. It was dumb, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I had fun. I did not have fun watching Morbius.
No, that's the problem. I did not have fun. I had a ton of fun watching Black Adam.
Yeah, and that's the big difference.
All right, what's
Give
next?
me fun. Dwayne Cinema says, all emotions and culture aside, R.I.P. Chadwick. I'm so excited for Ironheart's MCU debut.
I am hoping that once I see Wakanda Forever, I will become excited for Ironheart. Right. Again, I'm just not big on derivative characters. And this is clearly, even in the trailer, I'm like, so we're just doing Iron Man again. But this is Ryan Coogler, so I'm hoping I get excited for Ironheart after this, after watching Wakanda Forever. All right.
Those clips I saw last night make me really excited. Jeffrey Hemphill says, with all the mutant DNA powers combined into Deadpool, is he capable of anything? Needing help, Wolverine should rejoin Alpha Flight, which he left to become a cage fighter before X-Men found him. Look, man, I want an Alpha Flight. Just because they're Canadian doesn't mean they can't be a great super team.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do it.
I know, but I'd like to. I'd love to see that.
The thing, though, is I know the one movie did that. The Deadpool, Wolverine. Which Wolverine movie was it that Ryan Reynolds was in?
Number one.
Was it
Wolverine Origins?
Wolverine, okay. So I get it that Wolverine could, or that Deadpool could take on, he was basically Peter Petrelli. He could take on everybody's powers, right? But that's not traditionally what Deadpool is. So I wouldn't think of that. I wouldn't go in that direction, I don't think. All right, what's next?
Fangblaze71 says, y'all think Andor will go up in viewership now that the other big shows are over?
I think Andor, by the way, Andor has continuously and steadily gone up in viewership. I think it will continue. Here's the thing. This isn't 1986, where if The Cosby Show and Cheers are playing at the same time on different networks, you got to pick one and you can't watch the other. It's different. These are now the streaming networks. You can watch one, watch the other one 6 hours later or 6 days later. So I think Andor, as the word about this show and its utter complete excellence continues to spread, I think you're going to continue to see the viewership will go up week after week. But I don't think that the other shows being over is really going to impact it that much. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think more and more people are going to come to Andor. It's my new litmus test. There are people that either like Andor or people that say it's slow and boring. I only like one of those kinds of people.
Like one of those kinds of people. All right, what's next?
Dwayne Cinema says, I'm so pumped to watch part 2 of the Los Feliz murder house investigation on Ghost Adventures tonight. One of my top 3 passions is the paranormal. A question for everyone. Do you believe in ghosts?
I do. I mean, in some form or whatever, I kind of do. I believe there's more to the world than we perceive with our eyes, much like the subatomic structure. But so, yeah, I believe in ghosts.
I believe that there could be a certain kind of something to do with consciousness, but I don't think that ghosts hang around and haunt places.
I don't know.
I mean, to me, it'd be like, how depressing. You know, you lead your life, you die, and then you stay in some shithole place that you didn't like. But I don't know.
I didn't say it was a good deal. I just said maybe there's something to it.
Right. But I do think that we don't understand consciousness. And I think that there's possibilities of that something else is happening. I don't know.
All right. What's next?
Fangblaze71 says, the music in the new Ant-Man trailer is fire.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
But the music in the new Black Panther spot is even better.
Oh, my God.
The music in that was
that's the thing I can't wait for. By the way, did you see the picture on the red carpet of Bob Chapek and Rihanna from last night?
No, I did not.
It's like Rihanna's looking at Bob Chapek like, who are you, dude?
Yeah.
Bob Chapek's like, hey. And it was pretty funny.
Oh my gosh, I just saw it. I don't know if it's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be high enough quality to show on here, but
there's one that I saw 2, and Bob Chapek clearly knows who Rihanna is, and Rihanna clearly doesn't know who Bob Chapek is. He looks like
my manager just said, "Post for a picture with this
there it
guy."
is.
Hi, I'm Bob Chapek. She's like, "Who are you? Security?" All right, what's next?
The J Thunder 45 says Terrifier 2 finally made it to my town, and I got to check it out. This, Barbarian, and Black Adam are in my top 3 best experiences in a theater this year.
Well, it's awesome that you enjoyed them that much.
I like how he said best experiences because I think you can have great experiences with bad movies.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I always go back to Vanilla Ice as Cool as Ice.
Oh.
It's one of seriously, you get about 7 or 8 friends, few adult beverages, sit down then and put on Vanilla Ice as Cool as Ice. You are going to, I guarantee you're going to have a blast. You're going to have an absolutely good time. Maybe not the kind of blast that the filmmakers intended you to have, but you are going to have a blast watching that movie. And that's important. Those types of experiences are important. All right. Thanks for sharing that, man. What's next?
Bobby Jackson says, I saw a tweet from Jeff Snyder saying he'll be dropping probably big Marvel news today. Any ideas what it could be?
Nope.
No idea.
No idea.
But he is the In Snyder after all.
He is the In Snyder. All right, what's next?
Rob McDonald says, do you think that it might be time to look into a new director for Fantastic Beasts? Yates directed the last 7 Wizarding movies, so maybe it's time.
I would agree. Although, that said, I would not be put off if I found out he was coming back again. Again, as a non-huge Wizarding World fan, I mean, I like the movies well enough, I do. I've enjoyed the Fantastic Beasts movies. So if they said he's coming back again, I'd be perfectly good with it. Listen, Yates had nothing to do with the controversy surrounding Johnny Depp, Ezra Miller, JK, all the drama and everything weighing down that. But like, it's just, so would I like some fresh blood in there? I always do. I always do. But if he came back, I'd be fine with that too. If they do another one.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
HV3 says, add The Good Nurse starring Eddie Redmayne and Jessica Chastain to the list of rare but fantastic movies on Netflix. I've heard this was great. Based on the true story of Charles Cullen, a.k.a. the Angel of Death.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a friend of mine last night who asked me if I had seen that. And I had not. But I'm hearing really, really good things about it.
It looks great.
All right. What's next? By the way, I should address this. Somebody in the live chat, let's see, Sledge in the live chat is asking, why do these live shows if John is in such a hurry to finish them? I feel like he's rushing. Well, because...
This show?
Yeah. Because while we do them live, we plan them to be about an hour. As a matter of fact, like Jonathan Voico just had to leave. He ain't here anymore. He
bailed.
He had to bail because we are scheduled to... he had to leave. We scheduled to do these shows for about an hour. And so we allow as many questions in that we think are going to be about an hour. Other people have responsibilities. People have other people waiting at home. They have other responsibilities, things we're supposed to be doing, meetings we have to attend, all that kind of stuff. So we plan for the show to be about an hour and do it live. The problem is sometimes Rob and I get going on a topic and we go on it for like 8 minutes when we really should be spending about 1 minute per question.
And you seem pretty chill today.
Yeah,
and chilled out.
So we're already like 15 minutes overtime, right? That's why Jonathan had to bail. So yeah,
he's got date night.
If we get a little bit long at the beginning, sometimes we have to rush a little bit more at the end because, we're keeping people longer than they're supposed to be there. Like Taylor, I'm supposed to let Taylor go home by 4:00. So I'm cognizant of the fact that I'm keeping him overtime. So yeah, I'm trying to rush it along a little bit so we can get people to go home.
But we're training him to be a good producer.
Yes, there we are.
He's being trained.
All right, what's next?
Chloe Fanning says, now will James Gunn still be able to produce other movies on the side, such as the Belko Experiment, or will it mainly just be DC for now?
He does not have time. Listen, people will often ask me, John, why don't you do a UFC show? Because I don't have time. I'm putting 12 to 14 hours a day into doing this. I don't have time. James Gunn is now taking over a seat that is 1,000,000 times bigger, more important, and a lot more to do. He will simply not have time to produce other. He might throw his name on as a producer, but he's not going to be involved in anything else.
Having worked at a studio I worked for the senior vice president of feature production. The amount of phone calls an executive receives in one day
is insane,
staggering. Yeah. I mean, hundreds of phone calls, and a lot of the time they try and get back a good executive to everybody, even if you just drop in a call. I can't even imagine the responsibility James Gunn has taken on.
I'm going to tell you a true story. I shouldn't tell you this.
Tell me anyway.
So
tell everybody.
When I was at AMC and Collider, ultimately I hired an assistant for myself, right? And when I would tell them this, I was a little bit like Ron in Parks and Rec, where their job was mainly to be a buffer between me and everybody else.
Yeah.
I just have too much to do. Keep people away from me. Right? That's basically the main job. And it got to the point where, I mean, I told the story today about how I went ahead and I took myself off of all the press lists, right? Because part of the thing is that I always feel bad, but I get all these emails from studios and phone calls. I know this is terrible. I don't answer my phone. I never get back to people. I never respond to people's emails. Unless you're an actual personal friend of mine, I never respond to emails. I never answer calls. I never do any of that stuff. So, and that's me in this tiny little thing that I do. Like, imagine you're an executive of a studio or something like that. Like, that would be times 1,000.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Raw McDonald says, what is your favorite season of Yellowstone? Mine is season 3. Rourke was such a perfect foil for Beth that season. Plus, what a finale.
I don't know that I can break it down into a favorite season. Like, this show just continues to build on its greatness. But I think it was season 3. So
you agree with our viewer?
Yeah. Bring up the question again there, because I think that was 3.
Mine is season 3. Rourke was such a powerful foil for Beth that season. Plus, what a finale. I agree with our Rob's assessment, though.
But man, I think it was season 3 where they kidnapped Beth and they were going to rape her. And when you realize that Rip is showing up, listen, right now, Rip is the ultimate man in any TV show right now. He might as well be a superhero in many ways. But when you realize Rip was about to show up to find his woman beaten, and by the way, Beth is the biggest badass in all of television. Like, the way they would be beating her up, and she's like, "You're a puss." Like, to people, these masked armed butchy men that are beating on her, and she's like, "You guys suck." I mean, right? And then Rip is about to show up, and you're like, "Hey, dude, listen, I don't believe in murder, but Rip's about to kill some people." I just get excited thinking about it. If that was season 3, then season 3 would be in the running. But I mean, I like all the seasons so much. The show's so good. All right, what's next?
Mr. Hank Dunn says, "Can you live stream your D&D games?"
No. I mean, and here's why. People ask that, "John, why do you live stream the games?" I'll tell you why. Because people get together to play D&D because they want to have fun. And if I tried to tell my friends, like my aunt's friends, that we're gonna live stream this to like 1,000 people are gonna watch live, and then probably 20 or 30,000 are gonna watch it after the fact, they won't be able to have fun.
Right.
Because they're like, okay, even though we're a circle of friends, like, I got to be careful what I say. Because like a friend of mine can say something to me, and if I know my friend, I understand where they're coming from and I can know what they mean. But like, if you don't know my friend and you heard them say the same thing, you would think, "Oh, what does that guy mean?" Well, I know them, so I know what they mean. But you just be paranoid the whole time about saying or doing the wrong thing. And it's like, that's not fun.
No.
So no, we won't be, like, if I get a couple of my friends who are used to being on camera, like Chris, like we live stream before once with me and Jonathan and Chris, and a couple of friends of mine who are in the entertainment business. That's one thing. But
right.
with regular people, they don't want to have 1,000 people watching and judging it, because that's what people do. And so it wouldn't be fun.
I agree.
All right, what's next?
The OK Channel sends in a super chat and says, "I've heard you guys talk about how big fans you are of D&D on the show. How about the other side of, what is that? WOTC?
Magic the Gathering.
Oh, Magic the Gathering. Oh, Magic the Gathering. Oh, that's Wizards of the Coast. Magic the Gathering. There's a 30th anniversary event this weekend. Personally, I'm pretty excited."
You might be surprised to see how big my Magic the Gathering collection is.
Oh, I wouldn't be.
I have, and Anne, you got to remember, Anne was working with Wizards of the Coast. Anne is really loves Magic the Gathering. We play a lot. I mean, we've got cases and cases and cases and cases. And
do you have rare cards?
What's that?
Do you have rare cards?
Yes. Yeah. I have a white deck that's very difficult to beat. it's, but with all the rules changes and stuff like that. So yeah, Ann and I play a lot of Magic the Gathering. You know what? To be fair, we haven't played a lot since the pandemic. Now that I think about it, but yeah, we have a hell of a lot of Magic.
Well, this weekend's the 30th anniversary, John.
Yeah.
Get on it.
All right, what's next?
Fangblaze71 says, "Did you see Simu on Pitch Meeting?"
Yeah, it wasn't that good, to be honest with you. It was too bad. Like, Pitch Meeting is hilarious. By the way, there's 2 good Canadian kids there. Pitch Meeting is really, I'm a big fan of Pitch Meeting. I think what they do is hilarious.
Simulu's fashion sense is on point.
He is the most fashionable dude in Hollywood right now. That guy wears clothes better than anybody else.
Yeah.
But I thought they could have done something a lot more fun and funny having him in it. It just, yeah. But I mean, listen, but Pitch Meeting is awesome. I just think in their awesomeness, they could have done something better.
By the way, you know what I watched? It wasn't hilarious, but it was really good. Kate Blanchett does a Hot Ones, and it dropped. It dropped today.
They get everybody.
It's pretty good. I mean, she weathered the storm pretty well.
Yeah, I wouldn't do so well.
Storm.
I wouldn't do so well. I would not do well on Hot Ones at all.
She was good there. I watched it before I came to work today.
All right, what's next?
Orange Hand says, "I'd like a film about Dumbledore and Grindelwald as teens because there's a tragic story to be told there involving their romance, Albus' siblings, etc."
But what's the point? We know everything. We know all the pertinent stuff about it at this point. But then again, you know me. I'm not a big fan of prequel stuff.
Right.
Like where, to the point where the prequel has to be completely beholden in its storytelling to what the established canon is. You go far enough back, like House of the Dragon. You go back a couple hundred years, or go back almost 100 years, well then cool. But we know everything we need to know about these 2 characters. Now we're just going to see things play out that we already know exactly how it plays out. So I personally wouldn't have a lot of interest in that, but maybe a lot of other people would. All right, what's next?
Rachel Knight online says, "Found my new Halloween favorite, Little Shop of Horrors."
That's awesome.
Also, Steve Martin could have made for a really interesting take on the Joker.
Depending on what you wanted your Joker to be.
Yeah, it'd be hard to take him seriously as the Joker.
Yeah, but then again, a lot of people said that about Jim Carrey when he started doing some dramatic stuff,
it's true.
Right?
But I keep thinking about Steve Martin like the jerk. I love Steve Martin. I was born a poor black child. Yeah. I mean, I love that movie so much. And I don't know if I could ever take him seriously as a homicidal maniac.
Did you ever see him in, I think it's called Shop Girl?
Yeah. Yeah, that was based on a book he wrote.
Yeah. He's really cool. I like him in that.
He's really good. He's also really good as a dramatic role in Lawrence Kasdan's Grand Canyon, which is a movie that people don't even talk about that
Forgot
anymore.
About that one.
But he's the one that says all the lessons in life you need to know are in The Godfather.
All right, what's next?
And they are. Jay Master says, "I just saw a tweet from Jeff Snyder today that he will be breaking."
We already got that.
Oh, wait. During the John Roca Hot Mic podcast.
Yeah, I think we already got that one. So we already talked about that. All right, what's next?
That was a different one. Hey, John and crew. This is from Mr. Downtown. Hey, John and crew. Excited like everyone to see Black Panther 2. I started remembering that the last time we saw the Dora Milaje, they captured Zemo. Any shot of seeing him in Wakanda Forever? Over or under 30%?
Under. Why? Like, why? There's probably 4 or 5 million people in Wakanda. I would go under.
I wonder if Black Panther, if the timeline, does Black Panther take place before or after Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I think it takes place after.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
as far as I know, but I mean, you never know. So I'm not saying 0, but 30% is a really high thing. My question would be, why would you show Zemo? How does Zemo fit into this at all? So I'll go under.
I just want to know if the Talican have examined the Celestial that was coming out of the Indian Ocean. Have they checked it out just to see if there's any technology?
Well, is Talican anywhere near?
No, but they can. Neither's Wakanda. They send people over there.
All right, what's next?
I think that's how it should open. Indiana 058 says, "You look great for 50, John."
Oh, well, thank you very much. I think I look great for anything. I'm a hot Italian dude, man. The Canadian Italian
you're getting no argument from me.
Work their magic in this specimen right here. All right,
I'm telling you. A. Marcellus says, "Rob, would you be interested in seeing a Tales of the Sith?" Yes. I would love to see Plagueis and Palpatine. Maybe jump around to new time periods and show Bane and Revan. By the way, that Dooku episode was excellent. I loved it. Look, I mean, I think delving into Star Wars history and lore is really cool. I mean, I would watch that.
The great thing about Star Wars history, and this is something that me and a lot of other Star Wars fans have harped on a lot, is that it's Star Wars history is not 100 years. Star Wars history is tens of thousands of years.
Yeah.
So what we're just saying about prequel stuff is that if you go far enough back in time, you can tell any story and be completely free from canon, because if you're far enough back in time, it doesn't really matter what you do, because it doesn't affect anything in canon that happens 300 years later or 500 years later or 5,000 years later. There's a lot of really cool stories you can tell without having to be in the current empire.
I agree.
And I would love to see them do that.
I would too. That'd be great.
All right, what's next?
Culture Wars Diplomacy says, examples didn't have to be those specific criticisms.
No idea what we're talking about.
This was that one Mary Sue.
Yeah, and the first part didn't make any.
Yeah, I didn't.
I had no idea what they were talking about.
So. I'm missing. Yeah.
Sorry about that, Culture Wars. All right, what's next?
Spencer Nielsen says, I say reset Flash with Wally West.
Why?
People don't know, care. Cool. Make us care. If we can care about Polka Dot Man, we can care about a different flag.
Okay, but the question I put to you, Spencer, is why make it Wally West? Why? There's no need to. You got Barry Allen. Just recast the actor like they did for Dumbledore, like they do for James Bond, like they did for Rhodey, War Machine, like they did for there you go. Just recast Barry. There's no need to do Wally West. There's no reason to do it.
Plus, with the multiverse and all that, with Flashpoint, you can easily come up with a reason why the character's recast.
But that's the thing. I get frustrated at this when I hear people say, "Okay, John, so to recast Ezra, you could do this in the story," but I'm like, wait a minute, time out, stop right there.
You don't have to do that at all.
You don't need to do anything. You just recast it.
Just like they did with Rhodey.
But how do you explain that he looks different, that Barry looks different? You don't have to explain it. Just like they did with Rhodey in Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2. That's it. You just put in a new actor and everybody will be fine.
When they put George Lazenby in On Her Majesty's Secret Service after 5 previous Bond films with Sean Connery, in the opening scene after a fight, and Diana Rigg drives off, leaving him alone on the beach, he literally turns to the camera and says, "This never happened to the other fellow." I mean, James Bond says that, and then the opening theme starts. I mean, it does, and no one went, well, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's like when the great Richard Harris passed away, they didn't go, okay, so let's say that maybe Snape cast some spell that went horribly wrong and changed the appearance of Dumbledore. No, they just put in Gambon, right? No, this is Dumbledore now. Everybody gets it? Yes? Great. And then we move on. We don't have to come up with some reason that they changed actors. Just change actors and move on.
Even when I was a little kid, watching the live action Shazam on Saturday mornings, they changed the actor that played Shazam.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember thinking, and then I moved on.
And then we move on. All right, what's next?
Robert Goodwin sends in a super chat. Is that the end?
I actually found 2 that did not load. I'll go ahead and read those for you.
Well, first, thank you, Robert Goodwin, for sending that in. Appreciate that, man.
For sure.
First one comes from Fanjecture, who says, first we had the Axe of Zaslav. Now we have the Crosshairs of Gun. Are there any projects you would hope he either saves or gets rid of?
The Crosshairs of Gun.
The Crosshairs of Gun. I like that. Well, I mean, thank God they killed that. Oh my God, that Wonder Twins thing. There just had to be some things too that we never even heard about yet.
Oh yeah.
That the previous regime of Warner Brothers had, that Zaslav came in and said, "Is this a joke?" Yeah, and I had to listen. You remember my reaction when they announced the whole Wonder Twins thing. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This can't be real.
Can you imagine? Like, David Zaslav's probably not a comic book fan, and he comes in to assess what's happening. He's like, okay, what are all the movies that you're making? You're going down the list, and somebody goes, oh, we're doing the Wonder Twins. I could only imagine David Zaslav going, wait, what?
Right. Are you talking about, like, when I was a kid, like, what form of a bucket of water? That Wonder Twins? No. Kill that. No.
You know, what do they call it when he's going around talking to everybody, his tour of,
the listening tour?
The listening tour, right. So he's on that listening tour, and normally he's probably just going, taking it all in until he gets to somebody explaining the Wonder Twins.
Well, remember, the listening tour was about talking to people outside of Warner Brothers,
right?
About what they think he should bring to Warner Brothers. Right?
Sure, but I'm sure when he finally got there, you know, I just love to have seen that moment.
Yeah, but as far as things that James Gunn should kill now, I mean, the only thing that I can think of, but it's done, is maybe this Gotham show they're talking about doing, maybe kill that. But I mean, I have not, all I know is what I've seen in a trailer. I don't know. I've not heard from anybody if it's good or bad. So maybe it's great. And the trailer just looked awful. I have a hard time imagining that's great, but maybe it is.
I mean, the thing that I think that is going to be most interesting that they're facing is let's say James Gunn wants to make something. You still have to find the people to execute it.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part, is to find the people that can execute the way you want them to.
Because listen, James Gunn, the reality is, and this is going to be one of the challenging things for James, is you're not just a director anymore.
Right.
Now you are in charge of the whole bleeding thing. And I know that, this project sounds great, I'll do it. No, you got to be able to resist that urge. Because I know as a director, as a creative genius that he is, he's going to feel those juices flowing. He's going to, I can direct this. And absolutely you could, but you can't. We need you over here. I think he's going to pick a movie that he will direct, but he's got to be focused on the bigger job. That's got to be his focus, the bigger job. Be very, very careful. I think it's going to be Superman, but it may not be. It could be anything else. But we'll see. All right, we got to keep flying here. How many more questions do we have
left?
This
is the last one.
All right, what's next?
This one comes to us from Jared Bester, who says, Barbarian is now on HBO Max. Have you seen it yet?
No, but it's going to be, now that it's on HBO Max, it's going to be very, very high on my priority.
Oh, you got to see it.
See, this is one where they literally invited me down to the lot to go and watch it, and I couldn't because I was going out of town. So I will watch this thing now.
It's a hoot. It's a perfect weekend to watch it. All of you should watch Barbarian.
All right, guys. And that'll do it. By the way, somebody in the live chat, I think is Delusion Patriots fan, said Wonder Twins could have been a part of James Gunn's Suicide Squad. You know what? That is the one place they might have actually made sense. Like as they're storming that beach, what do? Well, one turns into a bucket of water and one can turn into an animal. That one
drown their enemies.
They drown their enemies. That'll do it for this installment of Open Mic, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here this afternoon. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, leave some comments below, but most importantly, come on back for the John Campea Show tomorrow for our Friday edition. We hope you will join us then. So, for everybody in the room, Robert Meyer Burnett, of course, behind there running the show today has been Taylor. Myself, my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.